As 2025 comes to a close, I can think of no better way to celebrate it on my channel than taking a look at one of the most impressive homebrew developments I've ever seen. Final Fight MD started a few years back, but we now have a virtually finished arcade mode that is available for all to experience. The original game was released in 1989 and created by Capcom. It ran on the CPS hardware, a powerful kit that could display lots of colors, sprites, and multiple background layers. The multiplayer action was a big upgrade from the typical fare we had been accustomed to in the genre. It was faster, smoother, and better looking than most of the games in its day, and the home versions that would show up were highly anticipated. Yet the Sega Genesis, and by extension the Mega Drive, never received a version all its own. We did get it on the Sega CD in 1993, but if you wanted to play it there, you needed a $300 add-on to do it. That's what makes this project, dubbed Final Fight MD, such a pleasure to see. No Sega CD required, this is running on a stock Genesis, and is playable on both emulators and flash carts on real hardware. In this episode, I will be taking a look at the most recent release, which is now close to finished with all the stages, bosses, playable characters, and ending of the original arcade. There's a lot to go over, so let's get started. Final Fight MD sets out to be a competent recreation of the arcade original. The gameplay is a true blue beat-em-up, with 3 characters to choose from and 2-player co-op should you have a friend. Your attacks consist of a combo that ends with the enemy being knocked down. This combo changes between the available characters that vary in speed. There is also a grab that you can engage by walking into the enemy. From this grab you can attack, throw, or in Hagger's case, pile drive your foe. Each hero also has a jump kick, a secondary jumping attack that can be with your knees or a body splash, plus a desperation move that quickly knocks down the enemies around you. Be careful pulling that off because it eats up a bit of health every single time you use it. From there, Final Fight is typical beat-em-up fare. You make your way across various environments, beat down dozens upon dozens of bad guys, and then face a big bad boss that has a completely new set of moves to contend with. Final Fight MD is mainly about the arcade mode for me, but for those of you interested, there is a survival mode, a time attack mode, boss rush, and you can even play the bonus rounds should you desire. The options menu gives you a ton to mess around with. You can change the button config, the difficulty, the amount of lives, and you can also listen to the music. The extra options goes a step further and gives you a veritable slew of things to play around with. The Mega Mode also allows you to play as Maki from Final Fight 2. Some of this content isn't quite finished or fully free of bugs, but I didn't have any major issues with any of it. What I played performed fairly well all the way to the end. Though I didn't get a chance to test it, there is also a 3-player co-op option if you own a multi-tap, and there are even built-in achievements you can unlock. Finally, you can save your game with 3 different slots available. One of the most impressive things about this 32 megabit adventure are the visuals. This team has done an exceptional job harnessing the color palette of the Genesis and creating a conversion that puts even the Sega CD original to shame in a lot of ways. To add to the jaw-dropping graphics are tons of enemy sprites on the screen. Yes, there are moments of sprite flicker and slowdown in the single-player mode, but they are literally moments, and the gameplay otherwise is fast, fluid, and every bit as much fun as the arcade. Sometimes I found myself taking damage or being thrown completely off rhythm because I was admiring the detail in the background so much. Side by side with the arcade original, you can certainly see the Genesis is using less colors, but really take a moment and consider what you are seeing. I don't think it's a stretch to say that the Genesis should be able to do just about any of the CPS line of games this well, and makes me wonder what a Street Fighter II, Aliens vs Predator, or Punisher would have looked like given this same level of TLC. After putting a few hours into the new Christmas 2025 demo that was just dropped, I came away thoroughly impressed with the visuals. I honestly don't have a single negative thing to say about them in single player. They start strong, perform well, and do the arcade material justice. We still have some time before this hits a final version 1.0, and the developers are completely done with it, but I feel this has already lived up to the hype. Say what you will about the differences between developing a Genesis game today versus the 1990s, this is still incredibly impressive regardless. Like the visuals, I came away loving how Final Fight MD sounded. The voice work is spot on with only a twinge of the Genesis scratchiness, and the music is FM bliss. Let's have a quick example so you can see what I mean. That leaves us with the final question. Did I encounter anything that left a black mark on my experience? No, not really, but there are some things that need work. I saw more sprite flicker and slowdown than I'd like to in the multiplayer, and enemies could escape my grab combo despite me being right on top of them. It didn't ruin the fun and is indicative of the bugs and unfinished nature of the release. For the most part, I blasted through the arcade mode in single player and didn't see many problems, and I'm sure the multiplayer issues will see fixes in the near future. I was really impressed with the difficulty scaling and feel it's set perfectly so far. Easy is actually easy, normal will give you a touch of a challenge, and anything above that can kick your behind until you get good at it. The excellent scaling between difficulties helped immensely in the two-player mode, because my partners weren't gaming savants, nor did they have endless time to master a 35-year-old game. It's also probably important to set your expectations properly with this demo. Though this looks, sounds, and plays like Final Fight Arcade, it's still a conversion, and as a conversion, doesn't feel exactly one-to-one in every aspect. After playing this and the arcade editions back-to-back, there are some timing differences to adjust to, but I never felt they were egregious, and it certainly doesn't break the experience. In fact, I have always maintained that conversions were often more interesting when they had a bit of their own personality, and there was something new to learn and get a feeling for. In this regard, Final Fight MD is the perfect mix of arcade nostalgia and new options that keeps you coming back for more. Take a moment and consider the screen you are viewing right now. These are the people responsible for this project. They have given the Sega community a gift in this release, a game that surpasses the retail efforts of its day. They do so for free and have a Christmas download available that I'll put a link to in the description. If you appreciate this work, throw a few bucks of appreciation their way. These projects don't appear out of thin air, and it takes lots of time to see them become a reality. There's been a number of homebrew Genesis conversions announced over the years, and it's so satisfying when one makes it this far and at this level of quality. If Splatterhouse, R-Type, Shinobi, Symphony of the Night, and RoboCop end up half as good, we're in for one heck of a treat. I'm Sega Lord X. Thank you guys for watching, and I will catch you next time.